So I read the passage 4 times. I still have no idea if it's true, false, or not given. It's very confusing.
I've heard that sentence from almost every student I've ever taught, including engineers, doctors, and even master degree holders. The people who read English every single day of their professional lives. And every single time, the problem wasn't their English. As a matter of fact, they misunderstood this question type completely. And honestly, that doesn't surprise me anymore because this one single question type, just one, is silently responsible for pulling thousands of IELTS candidates below their target band score every single year. But what exactly makes this question type complicated? Is it the most complex vocabulary, the longest passage, or the difficult topic? In fact, just a few innocent looking statements alongside the reading passage asking true, false, or not given. They seem usual and familiar type that you might encounter in any other test, but it hits hard when you look at the answer key just to get disappointed seeing that most of your answers are wrong. So today we will expose this question type completely with its every trick, every trap, and every hidden detail that the examiner uses to trap you. Let's dive in. Before we break it down, let me tell you exactly why you can't afford ignoring this question type. In every single IELTS reading test, true, false, not given questions appear in at least one passage, and sometimes they appear in two passages, which means they can account for up to 10 out of 40 questions, that is 25% of your entire reading score. Means one quarter of the test from a single question type. Therefore, mastering over this type of question plays a crucial role in your reading test. Here is how the question works. The examiner gives you a list of statements, usually minimum 3 to maximum 7. Each statement is a claim about information in the reading passage, and your job is to read the passage and decide if the passage confirms the statement, it will be true. If the passage contradicts or disagrees with the statement, it will be false. And if the passage neither confirms nor contradicts, means the information simply is not there. In other words, you can't determine whether the statement is true or false, so it's not given. Simple enough in theory, but here is where it gets tricky, and this is what trips up almost everyone. These questions are tricky due to three factors. Number one, and the most important, paraphrasing. The statements in the question are almost never worded the same way as the passage. The examiner deliberately changes the vocabulary. So even when the information is right there in front of you, you might not recognize it because it looks different. Imagine you ask a friend, "Did Ali win the match yesterday?" And your friend simply wasn't there. He didn't watch it. He has no idea. The honest answer is, "I don't know." That's exactly what not given means. Meaning the passage isn't saying yes and it isn't saying no. It just has no information on it. Remember this, not given doesn't mean I couldn't find it. Instead, it means it simply isn't there. Big difference. So stop forcing true or false when the passage has nothing to say about that. Hence, silence in the passage means not given as your answer. Sometimes a statement is almost true and 90% of it matches the passage perfectly. And that's exactly where the trap is. Your brain sees the matching part, feels satisfied, and wants to mark it true. But that remaining 10%, that one small word, one small change, one added claim is what the examiner is actually testing. Let me show you what I mean. Suppose the passage says, Most scientists agree that regular exercise improves mental health. Now look at these three statements. Statement A says, all scientists agree that regular exercise improves mental health. See, almost identical, right? But the passage says most, not all. That one word flips it to false. Statement B. Scientists agree that regular exercise improves both mental and physical health. Again, very close. But the passage only mentions mental health. Physical health is never brought up. That one detail makes it not given, not true. Statement C. Regular exercise is beneficial for mental health according to most scientists. This one is just a paraphrase of exactly what the passage says. So, it's true. Three statements, three different answers, all because of small, careful differences in wording. This is why you must never skim over a statement and think, yeah, that sounds about right. Instead, always read the complete sentence to develop a complete sense. Because the examiner is counting on you to miss that one small detail. So don't give them the chance to trick you. The devil, as they say, is always in the details. When the passage directly supports the statement and the idea in the statement matches the idea in the passage, even if the words are different, it will be true. Think of it as the passage approves it. False is when the passage directly contradicts the statement, meaning it says something that is the opposite of or incompatible with what the statement claims. Think of it as the passage says something different or opposite. When the passage neither confirms nor denies the statement, your answer is not given. The topic might be mentioned, but the specific details in the statement is simply not addressed anywhere. Think of it as I can't tell from the passage. It doesn't say anything about it. Let's put this into practice. This is where things become clear. This is the passage. The question statement 1 says, the Amazon rainforest is responsible for generating a fifth of the world's oxygen supply. Matching paraphrasing of the keywords, a fifth is equivalent to 20%, generates is a synonym of produce. The passage directly supports this, hence the answer is true. Scientists believe that deforestation has already reduced the Amazon oxygen output. Matching paraphrasing and our findings. The passage says deforestation could reduce in the future, not that it has already reduced it. The statement changes the timeline, therefore the answer is false, as the passage contradicts the statement's timeline. The Brazilian government's conservation budget is the largest in South America. Paraphrasing match and findings. The passage mentions the budget was increased, but says nothing about how it compares to other South American countries. No such comparison exists, so the answer is not given. The topic is mentioned, but the specific detail is never addressed at all. Now consider this passage and the given statements. Daily reading for play year has a positive effect on children's academic performance. The answer according to the passage is true because the passage says children who read daily perform significantly better in school. More than half of UK primary school children read every day outside of class. Our finding from the passage says only 35% read daily, meaning less than half, not more. Hence the answer is false. The government has introduced programs to encourage daily reading among children. Our findings from the passage, government programs are never mentioned anywhere in the passage. Therefore, the answer is not given. Every time you face a true, false, not given question, run through this mental checklist. Step number 1. Identify solid keywords in the statement. Look for names, dates, numbers, places, and specific nouns. These are your tools for scanning the passage because the examiner can't use their synonyms to paraphrase the statement. Hence, we call them solid keywords. And step 2, spot qualifying words. Pay extra attention to words like all, some, most, few, only, always, never, often, rarely, the most, one of the most, sometimes, mainly, entirely, could, might, and second degree of comparisons. These words are where true and false answers are made or broken. For example, if you see the word often or sometimes in the question statement, but always in the text around the information for that question, it's highly likely that the answer will be false. For example, the statement says students often face difficulty in this type of question, but the passage says students always face difficulty in this type of question. So the answer is false. Similarly, if you spot some or many in question statement but all in the passage, the 90% chances that this statement is false. For example, the question statement says many candidates rejected the new policy, but the passage says all candidates rejected the new policy. So again, the answer is false. If you spot the most in the question statement but one of the most in the text, the answer is likely false, and so on. Therefore, always be cautious about the qualifying words while dealing with this question type, but make sure you read and then decide the answer instead of blindly choosing the answer once you spot any of these qualifiers. After all, this is the test of your reading comprehension skill. Before you scan, think about how keywords in the statement might be paraphrased in the passage. For example, children can be paraphrased as young people or minors or youngsters. Positive effect can be like benefit, improvement, or enhance as a verb. Significant can be notable, considerable, marked, and so on. Use your keywords and synonyms to scan the passage. Once you find the relevant section, stop scanning and read that section carefully and completely. Ask yourself 3 questions. Does the passage confirm this? If yes, your answer is true. Number 2, does the passage contradict this? If yes, the answer is false. Number 3, is the specific detail simply not addressed? If yes, your answer is not given. Once you have decided, commit to your answer and move on. Do not go back and second guess unless you have time at the end. Hesitation on one question can cost you time on 3 others. So never get stuck on one statement for longer than 90 seconds and move on to the next. Bear in mind that this is not the test of your knowledge. Instead, it's a test of your reading comprehension skills only. So the only source of truth is the passage. If you already know from outside that something is true, it doesn't matter. If the passage doesn't confirm it, it is not given. Full stop. False means the passage actively says the opposite. Not given means the passage simply does not say anything about it. So ask yourself, does the passage disagree with this or does it just not mention it? One small word like always versus often can flip a true into a false. So train yourself to slow down whenever you see a qualifying word. You have only 1 hour to find answers to 40 questions. So you need smart strategies instead of reading everything. Therefore, just scan for keywords, find the relevant section, and read only that section carefully with utmost focus. Students sometimes spend 2 or 3 minutes hunting through the passage looking for information that simply is not there. If you have scanned thoroughly and cannot find it, it is probably not given. Trust your process and move on. Now it's time to test yourself. Look at the statements, apply the strategies that we discussed, scan the passage and decide your answer for each one. Pause the video here and attempt the mini exercise. Just say done in the comments and I will share the answer key with explanation. If you got 5 or 6 correct answers, excellent. If you got 3 or 4, go back and look at where you went wrong. Were you caught by qualifying word? Did you mark something as false when it was simply not given? True means the passage confirms the statement even in different words. False means the passage contradicts or disagrees with the statement. Not given, the statement is not given when the passage neither confirms nor contradicts. It is silent on the specific point. Always identify solid keywords meaning names, dates, and numbers. Then spot qualifying words like all, never, only, mainly, could, and so on. Think of synonyms for keywords before scanning. Then scan the passage to locate the relevant section. Read that section carefully and compare with the statement. And finally decide confidently if that statement is true, false, or not given and move on. True, false, not given is one of the most misunderstood question types in IELTS reading. But as you have seen today, once you understand the logic behind it, it becomes very manageable and even predictable question type. I have shared some true, false, not given question type activities, worksheets and passages in the description where you can practice this question type as much as you want. Practice this process with every reading passage you attempt from now on and I will promise this question type will start to feel less like a monster and more like a guaranteed source of easy marks. That's it for today's video. If you found this helpful, like and subscribe for more IELTS strategies. Don't hesitate to ask your questions about IELTS reading in the comments and let me know which question type you want me to cover in the next video lecture. Thanks for watching. Have a great time. Keep learning, keep enjoying and keep smiling. Take care.